Dear, their name is Donaldson. He's with the Thermal Products Company, the assistant sales manager. They put in an application at Briarcliff. They came here from Binghamton. Her mother was a friend of the Bronsons, and
she wore pearls to hide a scar. He'd rather have been at his Cub Scout meeting. And for 6 seasons, they were the family America came home to. When Leave It to Beaver first aired on CBS on October 4th, 1957, nobody could have predicted it would still be part of the American conversation nearly 7 decades later. But here we are. So what happened to the cast? Today, we're looking at the Leave It to Beaver 1957 cast, then and now in 2026. Barbara Billingsley as June Cleaver. She became the most famous mother in the history of American television. And the detail most people remember about her isn't a line of dialogue. It's a strand of pearls. Barbara Lillian Combs was born on December 22nd, 1915 in Los Angeles, California. Her father was a police officer who rose to assistant chief. Her parents divorced before her 4th birthday, and her mother went to work at a knitting mill.
And I was sent the script, and I thought it was the craziest script.
Barbara was voted prom queen at George Washington High School. After a year of junior college, she traveled to New York to try Broadway. Her show closed after 5 days. She became a $60 a week fashion model. In 1941, she married restaurateur Glenn Billingsley. They had 2 sons, Drew and Glenn Jr., before divorcing in 1947 when the boys were just 2 and 4. She signed a contract with MGM Studios in 1945 and spent the next decade in mostly uncredited roles in films like Three Guys Named Mike.
You mean I'm not accepted?
I'm afraid not.
The Bad and the Beautiful, and the science fiction film Invaders from Mars.
The Martians! We've got to stop them!
Invaders from Mars!
Her second husband, British film director Roy Colino, died of a heart attack in 1956 after just 3 years of marriage and just months before she was cast in the role that would define her life.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Cleaver.
Hello, Eddie.
My, you certainly look nice today. I know it's been 20 years, but I was just wondering if Wallace and little Theodore are at home.
The producers of a new family sitcom called Leave It to Beaver remembered her from an earlier audition and asked her to read for the part of June Cleaver. She almost passed on the role. June Cleaver became one of the most enduring images in television history. The pearls, Billingsley later revealed, were her own idea. She had a surgical scar on her neck and wore them to conceal it. It became the most recognizable accessory in 1950s television. She appeared in all 234 episodes. After the show ended in 1963, she was heavily typecast. Then in 1980, she appeared in Airplane, where her wholesome image was brilliantly subverted when she announced, "I speak jive."
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Cuddy say can't hang.
Oh, stewardess, I speak jive.
Oh, good.
She returned as June for the revival series The New Leave It to Beaver from 1983 to 1989 and voiced Nanny on Muppet Babies.
Oh, I just finished cleaning the kitchen, and now I have to clean the bathroom.
Barbara Billingsley died of polymyalgia at her home in Santa Monica on October 16, 2010. She was 94. Jerry Mathers called her a lifelong mentor and a second mother. Jerry Mathers as Theodore Beaver Cleaver. He won the most famous audition in sitcom history by trying to leave it. Gerald Patrick Mathers was born on June 2nd, 1948 in Sioux City, Iowa. His family relocated to the San Fernando Valley, where his father was a high school principal. Jerry's career began at the age of 2 in a department store ad. By 6, he was appearing in feature films, including Alfred Hitchcock's The Trouble with Harry in 1955, alongside Shirley MacLaine, and 2 Bob Hope pictures. In 1957, the 9-year-old was brought in to audition for a new sitcom. When the casting directors asked him a question, he told them he'd rather be at his Cub Scout meeting. That answer won him the part. He played Beaver for 6 seasons and was the first child actor to negotiate a percentage of merchandising revenue from a television series. When the show ended, Mathers stepped away. He served in the California Air National Guard from 1966 to 1969, earned a degree from UC Berkeley, and worked in banking and real estate.
Yeah, man, a big one like that. I think we'd have to be at a party or something like that, and I just have to lean over and kiss you like that. I think that'd be great.
A false rumor circulated in 1969 that Mathers had been killed in Vietnam. It was completely untrue. He had never left the United States. In 1978, he and Tony Dow reunited on stage in a production of Boeing Boeing, and he reprised the role of Beaver in the 1983 television film Still the Beaver and the subsequent revival series.
That you, Beaver?
In the 1990s, Mathers was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and became a leading national spokesperson for diabetes awareness, speaking before the Congressional Caucus on Diabetes in Washington.
My mom said, okay, well, we'll dress you in your uniform and you can go, and it started out at about 5,000 kids, but that was in New York, wow, Chicago, and Los Angeles, so not all on the same interview at the same place.
Right. In 2007, he made his Broadway debut in the musical Hairspray.
Keep a changing, the world's rearranging.
As of 2026, Jerry Mathers is 77 years old, living in Santa Clarita, California with his third wife, Teresa Modnick. He has 3 children from his second marriage. He remains active at fan conventions and has never distanced himself from the role. Sue Randall as Miss Alice Landers. Every child remembers one teacher. For an entire generation, that teacher was Miss Landers. Marion Burnside Randall was born on October 8, 1935 in Philadelphia. Her father was an internationally known real estate consultant. She made her stage debut at 10 and graduated with honors from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, children.
Her only feature film was the 1957 Spencer Tracy comedy Desk Set. Nearly all her other work was television, including Bonanza.
Do you have any feeling yet?
No.
Gunsmoke, The Twilight Zone, and The Fugitive. In 1958, she was cast as Miss Alice Landers on Leave It to Beaver, replacing Diane Brewster's Miss Canfield. She appeared in 28 episodes across 5 seasons. Miss Landers was kind, patient, and genuinely warm, and she became a quietly beloved figure in the show's world. In 1957, she married Peter Blake Powell. They had 2 sons, Blake and Kenneth, before divorcing. She later married James McSparron. Randall retired from acting in 1967 after an injury and returned to Philadelphia, where she devoted herself to charity work, including the Multiple Sclerosis Telethon, Reading for the Blind, and Project Head Start. In 1982, she was diagnosed with lung and larynx cancer from years of heavy smoking. Following the removal of her larynx, Sue Randall died at Pennsylvania Hospital on October 26, 1984. She was 49. She donated her body to the Humanity Gifts Registry of Philadelphia for medical research. She was quiet about her fame, quiet about her illness, and quiet about her exit. But the kindness she brought to that classroom has never been forgotten. Tony Dow as Wallace Wally Cleaver. He was America's big brother before the phrase existed. Anthony Lee Dow was born on April 13, 1945 in Hollywood, Los Angeles. His mother, Muriel Montrose, was a stunt woman in 1920s westerns. Tony was a Junior Olympics diving champion with almost no acting experience when he attended an open casting call and landed the role of Wally Cleaver. He appeared in all 234 episodes and became a teen heartthrob. When the show ended, Dow served in the California Army National Guard from 1965 to 1968 and worked in construction through the 1970s. He returned for the 1983 revival and built a second career behind the camera, directing episodes of Harry and the Hendersons, Coach, Babylon 5, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Perhaps the most unexpected chapter was his work as a sculptor. He created abstract bronze figures from burl wood found near his Topanga Canyon home. In 2008, his sculpture was selected for exhibition at the Carrousel du Louvre in Paris. Dow was candid about his lifelong struggle with depression and served as a spokesperson for the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance. In May 2022, he was diagnosed with liver cancer. His death was prematurely announced on July 26th. He was still alive. He died the following morning, July 27, 2022. He was 77. Jerry Mathers wrote, "He was not only my brother on TV, but in many ways in life as well." Diane Brewster as Miss Canfield. She was Beaver's first teacher.
I found this under your desk at lunch hour.
Somebody must have dropped it there.
Isn't this the note I asked her to give to your parents last night?
But most people don't realize she was also a murdered wife, a confidence trickster, and a direct descendant of the Pilgrims. Diane Brewster was born on March 11, 1931 in Kansas City, Missouri. Her father was a trial lawyer. She studied at the University of Kansas before a job at a radio station led her to Los Angeles. In 1956, she was cast as the smooth-talking con artist Samantha Crawford on Maverick, opposite James Garner. That same year, she appeared as Miss Canfield, Beaver's teacher, for the first season. After being replaced by Sue Sue Randall, Brewster played Paul Newman's mother in The Young Philadelphians and appeared uncredited as the murdered wife Helen Kimball in flashbacks on The Fugitive. She married oral surgeon Jabe Walker in 1959 and had 2 children. She retired in the late 1960s but returned for the 1980s revival. Diane Brewster died of heart failure on November 12, 1991. She was 60. Her ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean. Hugh Beaumont as Ward Cleaver. He played America's wisest father on television, and off-screen, he was an ordained minister who preached on Sundays. Eugene Hugh Beaumont was born on February 16, 1909 in Lawrence, Kansas. He graduated from the Baylor School in Chattanooga, played football at the University of Chattanooga, and earned a Master of Theology from USC in 1946. He was ordained as a Methodist lay minister, a calling he maintained throughout his acting career. Beaumont appeared in over 36 films to the 1940s and 1950s, including 5 films as private detective Michael Shane, and a memorable role in the film noir The Blue Dahlia, alongside Alan Ladd, before being cast as Ward Cleaver in 1957. Ward was firm, patient, never raised his voice, and always found the right words at the end of each episode. Beaumont appeared in all 234 episodes and directed several, including the series finale, Family Scrapbook, often considered the first true series finale in television history. In 1959, a car accident killed his mother-in-law and severely injured his son. Mathers later said Beaumont sometimes just walked through his scenes afterward. After the show ended, he withdrew from entertainment and became a Christmas tree farmer in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. In 1970, he suffered a debilitating stroke and was told he'd never walk or talk again. He proved otherwise. Hugh Beaumont died of a heart attack on May 14, 1982, while visiting his son in Munich, West Germany. He was 73. The 1983 film Still the Beaver is dedicated to him. Jerry Weil as Judy Hensler. She had the very first speaking line in the entire series, and most of America couldn't stand her. Jerry Warner Weil was born on May 15, 1948 in Los Angeles. A talent agent spotted her and her 2 sisters on Hollywood Boulevard. At 9, she was cast as Judy Hensler, the class tattletale and nemesis of Beaver Cleaver. She appeared in 31 episodes. The character was so convincing that Weil's real schoolmates refused to speak to her. In 1960, as she went through puberty, the producers attempted to conceal her developing figure with binding, a humiliation she has spoken about publicly. She departed the show and never returned to acting, aside from a single 1987 guest appearance on the revival. She became a hairstylist, then a successful real estate agent. As of 2026, Jerry Weil is 77 years old. She lives quietly in Gardens. The girl everyone loved to hate turned out to be nothing like her character at all. Ken Osmond as Eddie Haskell. He created one of the most enduring character types in American television, and when Hollywood wouldn't let him be anyone else, he pinned on a badge and became a cop. Kenneth Charles Osmond was born on June 7, 1943 in Glendale, California. His father was a carpenter and his mother pushed both Ken and his brother into acting. In 1957, the 14-year-old auditioned for a one-time guest role. The character was Eddie Haskell, polite to adults, devious the moment they turned away. The guest spot became a regular role. He appeared in 97 episodes. The term Eddie Haskell entered the American vocabulary as shorthand for an insincere flatterer. After the show ended in 1963, Osmond was devastatingly typecast. He found it nearly impossible to get other work. As he later said, "I was very much typecast. It's a death sentence." In 1970, he joined the Los Angeles Police Department and grew a mustache to stay anonymous. On September 20th, 1980, while chasing a car thief, he was shot 3 times. 2 slugs hit his vest. The third ricocheted off his belt buckle. He survived. A bizarre urban legend circulated that Osmond had become adult film actor John Holmes. The LAPD's Internal Affairs actually asked him to disprove it. He returned to acting in 1983 with his real-life sons playing Eddie's sons on the revival. He married Sandra Purdy in 1969 and they remained together 51 years. Ken Osmond died on May 18, 2020. He was 76. Mathers said he was the best actor on the show because in real life he was the exact opposite of Eddie Haskell. Madge Blake as Mrs. Margaret Mondello. Before she was Aunt Harriet on Batman, before she danced through a Gene Kelly musical, Madge Blake helped build the detonator for the atomic bomb. Madge Cummings was born on May 31st, 1899 in Kinsley, Kansas. Her father was a Methodist circuit rider who discouraged her from acting. She obeyed for decades. During World War II, she and her husband worked in Utah on the Manhattan Project. The government awarded them both a citation. Blake didn't begin studying acting until nearly 50. Gene Kelly developed a special affection for her and included her in Singing in the Rain and An American in Paris. On Leave It to Beaver, she played Mrs. Mondello in 12 episodes. She went on to play Aunt Harriet in 96 episodes of Batman. Adam West fought the producers to keep her when they considered firing her. The next day, he found a freshly baked cake in his dressing room. Madge Blake died of a heart attack on February 19, 1969. She was 69. A woman who helped build the weapon that ended a world war didn't start acting until 50 and ended up in two of the most beloved shows ever made. That is a life. Frank Bank as Clarence Lumpy Rutherford. He started as the bully and became the best friend. That is roughly the story of Frank Bank's entire life. Frank Wayne Bank was born on April 12, 1942 in Los Angeles. He was cast in Leave It to Beaver's second season as Lumpy Rutherford, the hulking son of Ward's pompous colleague. In early episodes, Lumpy was a bully. Over time, the writers softened him into one of Wally's closest friends. Bank appeared in 50 episodes. After the show ended, Bank took an entirely different path from his castmates. He became a successful investment broker and bond trader on Wall Street, eventually building a career in financial services that lasted decades. He wrote a 2002 memoir, Call Me Lumpy, My Leave It to Beaver Days and Other Wild Hollywood Life, which detailed his experiences on the show and the colorful life that followed. He remained close to his fellow cast members and was a regular at reunion events and fan conventions for decades. Frank Bank died on April 13, 2013, one day after his 71st birthday in Rancho Mirage, California. The cause was cancer. He had been one of the warmest and most accessible members of the original cast, and his death marked another quiet closing of a chapter in the story of one of television's most beloved families. Of the 10 cast members we've looked at today, 2 are still with us. Jerry Mathers and Jerry Weil are alive in 2026. Barbara Billingsley, Tony Dow, Sue Randall, Diane Brewster, Hugh Beaumont, Ken Osmond, Madge Blake, and Frank Bank are gone. What Leave It to Beaver gave the world was not just a sitcom. It was a mirror, slightly idealized and gently polished, of a country that wanted to see itself as kind, patient, and fair. Nearly 7 decades later, the people who held up that mirror are still remembered. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more history documentaries.